Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Given that the chair is not with us presently, to chair the meeting, you have to be physically here in person. We also do not have the vice chair. Given that we would have to call an election to fill those positions, we're going to call an election anyways for the chair and vice chair for 2026. So. Can I get nominations for chair for SPAC, please? David. Any other nominations? Can we call that unanimous? Okay.
Sure. Yeah, I can make that.
Mr. Chair?
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do an election for vice chair and then we will get going.
A nomination for that too.
Yes, please, Councillor.
Andy.
Andy, do you accept that?
Yes, I accept. I stand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we have the new chair, new vice chair. Clerk has called the roll, and take it away, please.
Hi, everyone. We are going to do the declarations of conflict of interest to start. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest for any of the items listed on the agenda? Seeing no hands, we'll move on. There's one presentation on the agenda tonight. Salvi
Kangara, thank you.
Kangara, sorry.
No problem.
Apologize. I wasn't given time to prepare that.
That's 5 seconds.
Commissioner of Public Works and Dwayne Ayres, Director of Environmental Services. Yeah, you're present as well, like the three of you. Okay, just making sure. And Derek Walker, Manager of Solid Waste and Gas Utilization, and Alicia Koroslik, Supervisor of Sustainability and Support, will be presenting on item 4.1, Solid Waste Management Master Plan. You have 10 minutes. Inclusive of questions. Thank you.
So thank you for the quorum and the chair for the presentation today. So the Solid Waste Management Master Plan is kind of giving us a roadmap for our future for our solid waste program. So you are probably aware that our council approved a vision for our solid waste program, which is to in the long term, we should go for as much reduction of the waste as possible and achieve 70% diversion by 2050. So what we did was we looked at what is needed to implement that vision. So that's part of our solid waste management master plan. So it gives us a roadmap on what we should do to achieve this target of 70% diversion. And it also aligns with the city's vision of reducing our carbon footprint. So with that, I'll hand it over to Derek.
Sure. Derek Walker, I'm the manager of solid waste and gas utilization at the city. It was our little department that put the master plan together. So I have a little presentation. I will go through it. You're just going to click through. Yeah, perfect. So Selby mentioned kind of the catalyst of the reason to start the plan. But in general, when you think of the city's facilities, we think of the core facilities like the water plant, the wastewater plant, like the Gretzky Center. Those are kind of the core parts of the city. But people always forget about our landfill site. And the city is blessed with this asset that we have. We have something that a lot of other cities don't, which is a massive landfill site for the size of the city. And it's kind of allowed us to not function without a plan, but kind of not worry as much about solid waste because we had such a large landfill site. But we have an asset that is irreplaceable. we'll kind of go through that, but to put another landfill site inside of the city, you're looking at a massive amount of money and a massive amount of land, like 400 acres. And in dollar value, you're in the hundreds of millions to put in another landfill site. So the goal of this master plan is to keep our site open as long as we can. When you leave this meeting, if you're kind of curious, the Auditor General did do a study, and if they did kind of close the borders because we do, this province exports a lot of waste. If they did close it, there's only capacity left in the province for 13 years, and then we'd be out of landfill space like province-wide. So it just kind of shows this is a serious issue, and a lot of other cities like Toronto is desperately kind of stuck that they've backed themselves into a corner for their waste. So this is an issue that's the province-wide. That's why we kind of put this master plan together, because we need to kind of look towards the future. And again, if we decide when it is time for a new site, like you're looking at a 10-year time from starting to actually building the landfill site. So it's a huge undertaking. When we were developing this plan, we kind of looked at kind of key factors. We wanted to be very financially prudent. We know that the city has budget constraints. So we really kind of kept that as kind of a forefront. We wanted to use the resources we had, so the focus is on that landfill site. We wanted to make sure we reduce that carbon footprint. We also wanted options that we could implement easily, like that quick wins. Because we city has a little bit of momentum as far as solid waste management goes. We finally put in a green bin. We redid the whole collection route system. People didn't even really notice that we did it, but we did it smoothly. We've transitioned to a completely different way of for blue box collection now that we've moved to that new provincial program away from the city operations. And we've completely revamped our enforcement, which again, most people haven't really noticed, but we've seen a huge improvement on the curbside from those programs as well. So we wanted to have a plan that we could get things done quickly, easily, and as cheaply as we could. Some of the options aren't, on the cheap end, but some of them we can kind of get small wins and kind of keep moving forward. We also wanted to make sure that people of Brantford had a say in it, so that when we put this together, we had a massive public engagement from our website to open houses to workshops to other things to kind of get people's gauge of what we're doing. And we wanted to plan for, say, the next 5 years. That's kind of our planning kind of window, but we're thinking about the next 25. So it's things we can do for the next 5 that'll affect 25 years down. How we developed the plan. Again, we're a small little department. There's 7 of us in solid waste. So we did retain a consultant services, Dillon Consultant, which assisted on this. We did a massive kind of like a 5-step review. One was our landfilling operations. We looked how we currently do things, how best practices in the industry, ways we can improve our gas collection. And we also were always looking at city growth and capacity at the landfill site, kind of all tied that together. Waste diversion, we looked at our current operations, best practices, and opportunities for growth. Same with our curbside collection, new technologies, new ways of doing things, new ways of collecting. And we did a municipal comparative. So we looked at every municipality in Ontario and saw what they were doing, what their best practices are, what their failures were, and what their wins were. And we kind of included that in our study. And again, we did a financial review, so the costing of everything we implement for the next 25 years. So from that, we had 51 options, and then after the public consultation and some staff review, we bored that down to 29 that we think we can implement. For the consultation, just so people know what we did, there was a Let's Talk Brantford engagement website, which was very well used, and we had over 1,000 clicks on it, so people knew that was there. The same with the online study. We had 500 plus responses, which for an online study is very, very good, so people are engaged. We had a workshop that we did. We called in local businesses, environmental groups, the educational institutions, so we just had a one-day workshop just to kind of brainstorm what they would want to see in the study.
Yes, back as well.
Yes. Which is why we're here as well for that. And then we had an open house in each ward. which allowed people to kind of show up. So the plan itself. So we developed it, and then the options we categorized. So rethink, redesign, reduce, reuse, recycle, and compost. And then one is residual management. No matter what we do, we're still going to have the landfill site. So the residual management, when we get to that section, that's really just things that we can do better currently with the landfill site. There's not a lot of impact to the general public with those, but we wanted not to kind of, we didn't want to just have something that the public had to work on. We wanted something that the city could do better on already with the resources we had. And that's what that residual management is all about. So we'll get to the meat of the options that are in the study. So in the rethink, redesign, and a lot of these are easy and things that are more common sense, but we wanted to really lay it out in our master plan. One was just improving promotion and education. One thing what we found when we're reaching out to the public, a lot of people didn't know things that we do at the landfill site. Some people didn't even know where the landfill site was. They just put out their garbage, we pick it up. So that's kind of, we need to get out there a little bit more. We've always had a very limited budget on how we do things. So with the master plan, we put some more money into our promotion and education just to get the word out there. Another thing is enhancing just how we track data. A lot of that comes down to we're smaller staff. We never really focused on that, but we should always know where we sit for everything we're doing. We should be knowing, like, when we have a program, where it sits, how effective it is, and what the people are thinking about our programs. So this is, again, just an internal change on how we're going to operate internally. Another really big one that's going to come up a lot in this master plan is the next collection contracts. A lot of what we're going to talk about this is going to be happening in 2030. That's when the next contracts come out. So we're going to be putting a lot of effort into designing those tenders for that contract, because we want to have a lot of options in there. And then when that contract comes back in, it'll be presented to council, but we want to give them a whole list of options in different ways that we can collect waste from the residents. Another one that's in there is we have something that's very unique to the city. We have the condo rebate program. It needs a redesign. So the study itself kind of lays out how we can change that program up, just kind of bring it, modernize it and change it. It's a program that's actually unique, that Brantford's the only city that does it. So
Ontario.
Yes, yeah, and in Ontario, we're it. So it's a very outdated way of looking after the condos. So in the master plan, there's a change for that.
What is the MRs?
Multi-res.
Okay, gotcha.
Another one, when we reached out to the public, we have very limited engagements to community groups. What we found, there's a lot of local neighborhood associations. There's a lot of people out there. And once we talked to them, they said, oh, we're really interested, but we didn't know, and how can we help? So again, part of this is we want to reach out. It goes with that education, that we want to present ourselves to these organizations and say, this is what we want. Like, how can you help? Things as simple as having our messaging put on their Facebook groups, just little things we can do, but we want to really engage with them and have them involved. Another one is the review of the landfill fee structure. We did a full review of across the province. This is like a funding issue too. This relates back to the contract, but we really have to see, and this will come forward when we present everything to council, is how we want to kind of fund the landfill. Are we too cheap, so we're attracting? Is it too easy to dispose of waste here? Should we raise our prices to kind of force industry to maybe look for other options because we're too cheap at the landfill site? That's the kind of structure that we have to review, and it's part of our master plan. And update the city solid waste reserve fund. This was something that the consultant made quite clear that we're lacking on it. I'm not going to get into too much detail about our reserve, but for landfill sites across the province, usually they have a very large reserve, because even when we close our current landfill, that landfill is going to operate for many, many, many years. And you're looking at a very substantial amount of money to keep operating a landfill site that isn't even generating tipping fees. It's just sitting there empty and still costing the city an awful lot of money for many years to come. So that reserve fund is a necessity that has to be out there. And another quick one is our bylaws are very outdated. It's just a simple staff just has to have the time to update these with our legal department. So when it comes to reduce and reuse, these weren't as popular, some of this one, but one thing we kind of have to look at, and this is province wide, is that pay as you go, pay as you throw model that a lot of them have out there. A lot of it is that bag tag or like a utility that maybe, these ideas will hash out, but this is one that we have to look at and plan for. This is if we have a resident can have 1 free bag, 3 free bags, but then if you go over that limit, the only way the city will pick it up is if you use a bag tag on it, where there's a fee to it. This is very commonplace across the province. It's something that the city's going to have to look at, and we will be working through that as part of our planning process. Some easy ones that were very popular for the reuse is the textile. It's already out there, and there is a lot of textile recyclers out there from Salvation Army, places like that. We've never worked with them. Again, it's our fault. We should be reaching out. So this is just getting them to talk to us and how we can assist at the public drop-off if everyone's been to the landfill site. Right now, there are people that bring, they're looking, where do they get rid of that bag of clothing? And right now, there isn't an option where we are. It just kind of throw it in the landfill. And people, as much as people try to do what they can, there's a tendency once you're at the one spot, they just kind of throw it, unfortunately. So we want to just give that option and have that textile recycling kind of included in our operations at the landfill site. Another one on there is a reuse area. This was a very popular option when we talked to the public, and it's very commonplace across the province, is there's an area just at the landfill site that if you have a bike that's still in good shape, a couch that's still in good shape, instead of just throwing it into the garbage, we have an area which is just a covered out of the elements where we can keep it. And then any resident, as they're on site after they've disposed of their waste, if they see something, oh, I like that couch, you just kind of take it home with you. Just an option to reuse. When it comes to recycle and compost, there's a bunch on here. A couple of easy ones that we can do simply is mattress recycling. Again, most cities do this now. We don't yet, but we've already started to look into this. It's just when people bring a mattress, it can be recycled now. There is a cost to this as operationally, but it's included in our master plan. But you take it to the landfill site, we would segregate it, we would haul it off to an actual recycler. So instead of going to the landfill site, it's just recycled. Something simple and easy, and the cost to the taxpayer is minimal. There's a minor operation increase, but nothing that we can't handle. The C&D, construction and demolition. Again, everything we do some of it now, we just have to increase what we do. We do any brick and rubble we recycle currently at the landfill site. We do some what we call clean lumber, which is just wood and drywall, but we really have to increase what we're doing. So in the plan, it gave us some options to do that on site. Just increase the things we're doing. Another one was very popular for the residents, was a permanent HHW depot. For those of you who don't, right now we have 8 days a year. We have event days where you come down and bring your material. What we found is residents, as much as they love, it's a free program and they raved about it, but if you miss one, it's very difficult. Do I hold on? I have to come later. There is a bigger cost to this one, which we will put a cash out and present to council. But there is options, maybe not a permanent depot, but if we go to one every month instead of having that break, there's things that we can look at, but that is one that was the residents. That was a popular one when we went to them. A lot of these will be, when I talk about the new contract that's coming up in 2030, a lot of these will be included in that. One that we have here is the bi-weekly garbage collection. Now that we have a green bin there, and this is commonplace across the province now, is you collect garbage every other week and then the green bin weekly. Because if you use the green bin, that odorous material, it's in the green bin. So your what's left over, you can store it that extra week. So there is a huge cost savings that'll be borne out and showed to council when we do the next collection contracts. But that is an option that was in there, and it was not as negatively received as you think when we went to the public. Like we thought, oh, this was going to be something that they really turned their nose up at. It was this kind of 50-50. And even after we talked to people, they kind of really understood it. Again, this goes along too with that bag limit. We have a green bin now. Right now, the city, which we found we have, the only thing that Brantford led in every category when we did our comparative study was the number of bags you can put out each week. Like in Brantford, you can put out 5 bags a week. Like we're number 1 because there's no one close to that. There's 5 and then it goes right down to 3. And most places they're 2 or 1. So if we take that bag limit down, we're not taking away the bag. We're just saying instead of putting it in a bag, put it in the green bin. So that's the kind of how we try to sell it to the people. And the more we talk to them, they understood it. There will be a lot of education that's required for this, and this will be something that will take time. But you're just taking material, you're already throwing it out. But instead of putting it in that garbage bag so it ends up in the landfill, just take that time to separate it out, put it in the green bin. But by reducing the number of bags, we're really forcing that issue. And what we did find when talking with every other municipality that has a green bin, like this is the key to improving your green bin program. Because you have to do, you can only do so much carrot. Eventually you need a little stick. And this was the stick that is like a proven winner. So this will be brought forward. When we talk about enhancing city enforcement, it's just that once we do these new programs, like our staff will have to be busy and assisting with educating people. We always do go with education first. We have a new program out there. Our staff are now actual bylaw officers. We can ticket. We still haven't because our staff is excellent at just talking and gaining people's approval and that way through education first. So it has worked. But if we go to some of these more extreme issues, there might be a little bit more of that ticketing factor in there. It just can't get away from it. Assuming that was my 10 minutes, but I'll keep going. That was it in a nutshell. I'll give you one last little mini tidbit of information. If you want to know the size of what you would need to replace the current landfill site, if you've driven past it or you've golfed on it, the city's golf course, you would need that course half another 9 holes, and that's the amount of land that you need for a new landfill site. It just kind of gives you that visual of the sheer size that you would need to replace the city's landfill site. But for that, I will just open up to any questions that you have.
Thank you very much for the conversation. I guess we'll have a few questions about the presentation, and then we'll table, put it on the floor for further discussion. Councillor, did you want to open up?
Have we considered mandatory recycling? Especially with the fact that the province is now flipping the bill for the weights and the volumes of recycling. We're taking it out of our landfills and forcing people to have to get on board with the program.
In there, when we talk about the changes to enforcement, that is one that we would have.
Mandatory recycling is one? Okay.
It's in there, yes.
You mentioned about the fees and trying to divert. Are you balancing that in with the revenues that we're getting from stuff coming in as well?
Yes, so it's that
you're looking for the scale?
there is a very delicate balancing because how we're funded now is basically tipping fees look after everything. So we don't want to drive it away. So then there's no resources there to fund us. So it is a very tight rope to walk.
I do love your bag idea and the bag limit. Scully and I've had many conversations about that. The green bin program, I do have a concern.
Yep.
I see this firsthand in Hamilton. The green bin program is pumped up very highly as an awesome program. However, there are some major things that people don't consider when they're doing this. And that's the common spills in the city. Water is one of the main ingredients that's in this compost. And they find the holes in the trucks. They find the leaks in the seals and the spills end up on the roads. Some of these providers are not very good at coming back and cleaning up their messes. And that could become another problem because now you're going to have the stink rotting in the streets. And that's just opening up another whirlwind for public complaint. So I just want to make sure that's out there as well.
Yep.
We do have a condition on our contract for the collection contractors to manage that. So the city does review that monthly with the contractor, but we can, if we see any issue, we definitely want to go after.
Okay, because I know we had, this is before my term of council, but I got to see it from the other side. I'm not gonna mention company names, but we had a provider in the past who was chronically leaking oils and whatnot from their vehicles and refused to come back and clean it. They were more than happy to pay the liquidated damages instead of coming back and for cleaning up their spills. And the worst part is I never ended up seeing anybody come back to clean them up. It's like we took the fine and the mess was left. I just want to make sure we cross all T's, dot all I's, that they will be accountable, and not so much that they're going to pay liquidated damages. If the city's got to come and clean it, they'll be billed for the cleanup. We just make sure the wording is there, that we make sure these things are being cleaned.
Yeah, no, we can definitely. 100%.
That's all I had.
You said 70% diversion by 2050? Totally 100% unacceptable. It was 15 years ago when the province came out and said by 2030, you need 80%. And I'm sure that's gone up by now. If it's not 90% or 100% by 2050, something's wrong. I saw nothing in that report about biodigester or combustion, and that's the only way anybody's going to have any room. And 10 years for a landfill won't happen because 15 years ago, we asked the province for a landfill and we got denied. They said, no, find something else to do with your garbage, but you are not getting a permit for another landfill. So you will not get another landfill.
Right, so that's part of the thing we are trying to inform public and kind of give the message out, saying it is going to be very, very hard. I mean, if Toronto being such a bigger municipality with a lot more
They
space.
bought our landfill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. They bought one and they're running out of space already. So it's an endless battle that goes on. And so we would love to have 100% by 2050, but we are looking at what is realistic. We are at 34%, and with the green bin, our diversion is 41%, but it is still so hard to change the people behavior. We are going to be through this plan, pushing forward with the public, changing their behavior, going after industrial commercial sector. But for us to go after industrial commercial sector, we need money in the reserve. So it is something that we would be working with our council to see if we would change that approach. And if we could change the people, the way their behavior, the sooner the better.
Start handing out tickets and it'll change.
Yeah.
My neighbor beside me has never, ever used Berkeley. Never. Which is a shame.
Yeah, and those are the technology that we are looking at to use. That
Tablet on
the
machine, and every time
Yeah.
someone doesn't use it, you hit it and you know where it is. You keep going next week, you give them fine.
So that's the thing is we have to work with them because, for example, if you take my home, I don't put the green bin out because I have a compost bin and I pretty much do backyard composting. So it depends on the case.
I'm surprised
What-
the city allows that.
Oh, yeah.
Most cities don't allow that.
Oh, I have-
because-
I
The city sells
Yeah,
them.
the city
Yeah.
sells the backyard composter because, we implemented the green bin program due to the cost. It took us so long and before that, we couldn't find any bidder to collect the organics. So we have been promoting backyard composter so people could have that practice. And it's a matter of just, it's so easy. People do recycling. It is also, they could do the diversion of organics as well. It's just a matter of the practice and doing it. So, but we definitely would go after to see and encourage, like Jarek was saying, a residential, education first, and then we'll go after through ticketing and enforcement.
And if you had a biodigester that created gas you pump back into the system to heat people's homes, and you told them you are using this and you are getting a repeat.
On that, thank you.
I know it's the most expensive way to do it.
Yeah, so
Profit.
through the chair, we did look into it, and at least this was a few years ago, it was going to cost us $20 million. This was pre-COVID. Prices were a lot cheaper then. $20 million to build this digester because we have a cogen facility. So we want more gas to electricity. And we have wastewater plant right there to use the electricity. So the case is very good. So we applied for some grant funding. There was some preliminary interest, but they were able to they said they could give us a little bit of money, but still the city has to foot the majority of the bill. So that means where is that money going to come from? So when you
Sell the gas to the public as they use it to heat their homes, and you make it back. Which make
I think-
millions and millions of dollars a year.
That's not that easy because an IESO doesn't allow us to that easily put it in the grid and sell it and get money back. There is approval needed from IESO and they're not that keen. And it takes a long process because we have been fighting with them even to use our digester gas from the wastewater plant, which is next door. Yes, it will be one day, but not today. They're not in supportive of that. So we are, right now, we don't have a business case that gives the return on investment for the kind of investment for us to make. But that means, it's not like we gave up on it. We've just parked it. We're still looking at the market, change in regulations, what IESO approves and not approve. We are a little bit hopeful, even though it's not going to happen right away. IESO is changing their ways. What they're saying is maybe local generation of electricity is better than producing somewhere, building these transmission systems and transfer. Sorry, I know, I can keep going on this. So transfer the electricity to local needs. So they kind of change their plan that maybe they would encourage locally, but they haven't reached a practical point yet.
But that's wrong. The efficiency of turning combustion into electricity, the rate is so low. You need to turn that combustion into renewable natural gas, stick it in the pipelines with Enbridge and heat your homes and fill your gas, fill all your.
We talked to Enbridge. Enbridge is not interested at this time because our.
When I left Enbridge, we were doing 3 and 4.
Toronto, yes. For bigger municipalities, yes. We met with them and they said our quantity is too low.
Well, that's why you get Hamilton, Holt, you get, not Hamilton, but you get like Wellington, you get all the
Bigger
all the
region.
van, you get like the whole region to do it.
It will be in the future, but we've, the reason why I'm kind of giving all this information is we've partnered with the Six Nations, Norfolk County, Brant County, and talked to Haldimand County. We looked at how much material they may be giving. It's a very tiny volume. They are looking at, we need to increase our volume by 3 times or 4 times to make the basic break-even point. That's what Enbridge told us. So we are keeping in mind, but it is something we will be.
To fail their stocks, and you add that.
I think she's kind of answered it.
Okay,
So
yeah, go on.
I mean, they've looked into it and they've done
Yeah,
a business
we looked
case.
at that too.
We can come back to other stuff. I know Andy has his hand up.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to Derek, and for great presentation. Thank you very much. And to anybody else who can answer the question. Over the past few years, I've had a chance to have, I hate saying it this way, but I've had a lot of conversations with Councillor Sullivan over waste management because we're both in the field. I'm in the recycling side, he was in waste management type of thing. But Derek, I'm a user of the landfill a lot. Summertime, wintertime, whatever time now. I spoke to one of your colleagues when I was chair, and I asked some questions, and I want to be careful not to stray into some sort of conflict of interest or whatever it is. But on the conversation that you had and the presentation that you made, I lived in Brampton for many, many years. One of the things that made me very happy in Brampton was that I could buy the stickers, and I'm one of many people who would love to have the sticker so I could put more bags of garbage out for whatever reasons. Because every quarter, every half a year, I gut the house, right? So whatever goes to recycling goes, whatever goes to landfill goes to landfill, and whatever goes garbage goes to garbage. Now, because I'm in the recycling of PPE and textiles and whatever it is, and I'm involved in a lot of government projects for the reclamation of that type of stuff. My question to you, and I had that conversation with one of your colleagues once, was that why aren't we trying to find people to pay us. So let's do this right now. In my business, I have a receptacle. It's a cardboard box. I get recyclable stuff, and that cardboard box I break down, I bale it, and I sell it to a cardboard buyer. Right now, every time somebody buys something from Amazon, they're getting boxes. This city has more Amazon deliveries than I can shake a stick at. So the question here is, when I go to the landfill and I'm filling up my car to the brim with cardboard, and your bins are overfilling with cardboard that they cannot take it. The question is, are we not maximizing the relationships that we can with the innovative people? Not specifically my company, but just on Mohawk, right near the landfill, you have at least 3 or 4 plastics people who would love to reclaim the plastics that are being dumped in the landfill, not in the recycling side, but in the actual garbage. There are a few people who could do recycling of polyester, which could go towards PET. And there's I always said it, and I said it before in a podcast, there's gold in that garbage. So have we not looked at the idea that not only tipping fees funding this project, but utilizing the relationships with corporations and businesses in the area and say, look, do you want to go through our garbage and get plastics? You'll pay us for that. We want to sell our cardboard to a cardboard recycler and who will pay us $50 a ton. At one point during COVID, I had to pay more. They paid more for that because there was a shortage. I'm going to stop talking for a moment. I do want to have a chance to ask you a second question, and then I'll leave it alone because I wanted to talk about the landfill in regards to garbage in the general sense. But Derek, I'll let you, or anybody else who wants to answer this.
Yeah,
it's
please.
interesting because it's in my world, and I want to know why we're not doing it.
Yes. In the master plan, there is the goal in there is to just do more of exactly what you're saying. We do it for in the last few years. We've really kind of picked up our game. So like cardboard is one that we do now actively market and try to get a better price for, and it is a revenue generator for us now. The skids is something that we used to just grind up and try to get rid of. We actually now have found a local just in Canesville so there is a revenue generation for that as well. So we're slowly moving it to these ideas, and we know that there's more out there. And like in our master plan is for us to do exactly more of what you said. Like we've done incremental small steps, but we just need to continue on with those. We've got a few wins that we found, but we know we can do more. The tires, again, we were legislated to do it, but we found a local supplier just on Henry Street. They've taken those for us, so that's a revenue generator there as well. So there's a few other examples I could give, but we have, and we know there's more exactly what you're saying. We just have to do the work, see how we can do it operationally, and then move on with those as well.
And if I could add to it, the material, the recyclables, cardboards, or whatever we collect at the curbside, correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, we don't own it because it's really producers' material. We cannot take the curbside material and sell it to somebody else. We can only do with the depot material, right?
Correct. Yes. Now. Yes.
With the change in legislation, the producers are kind of, if I lack of a better word, are owners of the material set aside by the public at the curbside. But anything came to the landfill,
that's ours to look at.
We're trying to generate. I mean, we have always been selling and generating revenue from that material.
Okay, so again, through the chair, either to Councillor Sullivan or to anybody else at the table, the way I understand this new change on January 1st with the Blue Box program, then now it leaves the city's traditional people, and now it goes into some sort of ether where and again, I don't like to use this example, but I use this example because I'm a competing entity in that world. But I liken the idea of these five groups who are now responsible for curbside, and I call them like almost like mafia families. And where I am a rival gang in their world, but I don't touch their territory because I deal specifically in healthcare, institutional, and education. So I take a lot of the recycling out of those places that would never end up on a either at landfill or in a blue box. But now that the blue box is going to be re-administered, is this our opportunity now? Is this the opportunity for us now to get that, to beef up our numbers so we could sell more? Or is it still going to be a producer thing? Because my understanding is that since on January 1st, when the 5 families take over, it's all gone. Like there's no more entities that are going to be contracted. It's all going to go into one general pool that if I've got polypropylene being thrown into a blue bin in Hamilton or Brantford or Parry Sound, it's going to be accepted no matter what, because traditionally in the past, stuff wouldn't be accepted. So I'll leave that last question, and if I can clarify that for us here, if it's an opportunity for us environmentally and economically, I really think we have to take advantage of that.
Sure, I can answer the question. Yes, you are basically right now it's a provincial entity. So like whatever's recycled in Peterborough to Windsor, it goes into the same pot. It's broken up as far as collection goes into like regional contractors, but they are working for one entity now. That's how it works. But so it's yes, completely out of the city's hands now. It's completely this provincial entity, but they control what is collected and what is acceptable. If that's a simple answer, but that's basically you're correct. Yeah, it's one entity that controls it completely now.
But on January 1st, will we be able to now have the cardboard and the plastics that go in that traditional blue bin? Will that come to us, and then will we be able to work that into your general numbers so you can get more bang for the buck?
No.
Goes to a different processing facility.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything for us. The provincial change.
Like for a resident?
January 1st.
Yes.
Does it change? Like, are we as the city going to be taking garbage from other municipalities?
No. This
No,
is
it's going to a
site
separate
plan.
facility. Is that what you're?
Yes.
that's what you're
So
saying?
basically, when it goes to the curb, it now becomes the province's property.
Okay.
It's no longer municipal property.
Okay.
Only recyclables. We're talking.
Yes, recycle.
Only
Just recycle. Waste
Yeah.
is still ours. Just the blue box now is picked up not by the city, it's by the province or this provincial agency.
Right. Okay. And that's been factored into the
Yes.
master plan in terms of what we're expecting. First, okay.
Yeah.
The city hands are tied a bit when it comes to recyclables because province is controlling who takes,
Yeah.
who's collecting how much. But the province has a target of recyclable rate. So they have, the goal is to increase the diversion with the time. And there is reporting required by these producer companies, what they're doing, how much material they're collecting. And I see, there is a recent, Facebook or social media posting. They're saying, hey, we're accepting black plastic now. And so they are trying to increase more material to be recyclables. That's the goal. At the end of the day, they produce the material, make them recyclable, less goes to waste.
You guys triggered a whole bunch of new questions.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Andy's question was sort of in my vein. What changes January 1st in terms of our strategy here? But it's nice to hear that it was forward looking and saw some of these coming down and
Yeah,
was
it's all
factored
inside in the
Right.
strategy plan.
I do have some questions myself. Just wanted to see if there's any other ones.
Their first timer, you go first.
Sure. Yeah. I was also really happy to see in the summary, but also the presentation that the goal is 70%. I know, some might think it should be higher, but we're certainly moving in the right direction anyway. One thing, like I did attend the sessions during the summer.
Yep.
And it was one issue that kept coming up in sort of the discussion was around multi-story properties, and that in some cases some of the services the city offers in terms of recycling and waste management is a little bit different when it comes to apartment buildings. So it is nice to see that there's some plans to tackle that. I think given the amount of waste that does come there, maybe it's not properly sorted or into the recycling system, it would be great to focus on those because it's really like as kind of an early phase, just given the fact that they are large waste generators, and hopefully that can help reduce. Like in terms of prioritizing and implementation, I think that might give you a little bit more bang for the buck. So that was what I was thinking. But it's I think it also is something that residents see as well, that you know you have a lot of waste that ends up on the curb that isn't anywhere near the 5 bag limit. So tackling those, I know there's a program listed in here, but I think you know having some teeth around what can be brought out to the curb, what can't be, incentives, but also you know some of the enforcement. It says it in here, but I think it really needs to be tackled in a realistic way over the course of the plan. But I was glad to see it in here anyway. That some of the consultation was put in. The other, you did answer a number of my comments. One thing I did notice in the report was that a lot of these things are planned to be 2030.
Yes.
What's happening after that? I didn't hear that in the presentation. Like, you know, a lot of these are going to be started. Like, what are the long-term ones that are beyond 2030 of these? Like, is there, you know, like, obviously we can't get through all of these until 2030, but which ones are the longer-term items? I couldn't tell.
Yeah, there is an implementation plan that some of them
Okay.
are further out, like a lot of the ICNI.
Yeah.
A lot of the planning ones will take a lot longer
Okay.
out. 2030, a lot of them happen because that's when we switch over contracts. So that's if we do the bi-weekly
Right.
waste, if we switch the yard waste, that's those core ones. And a lot of them, like you said, like the multi-res,
Mhm.
that's not something that will take years for us to move
Okay.
forward. It's always, there's a lot of incremental kind of movements that way. But 2030, a lot of them kind of just will happen all at once. But most of that in there will take the full years to kind of implement.
So some of them are contingent on
Sorry,
that contract.
Through the chair.
Sure.
We just need to pause until Rod comes back.
Oh, we lost someone. Sure.
Rod, if you can hear us, if you could turn your camera on, just to explain to members of the committee that in order to count towards quorum, you have to keep your camera on. Given that we are right at the limit with Rod not having his camera on, we don't have quorum, so we can't discuss business. So when he comes back, we can discuss business again.
Is he still in the meeting, or is he?
He's still in the meeting.
Oh, there he is. Maybe. Yeah. There we go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
More questions?
Yeah.
We can proceed.
Like a lot of it's continuous growth. So we're gonna keep working at things, and that's why it's that 25-year kind of plan.
Right.
Like the ones where you see that 2030 kind of hit, that's because it'll depend on that contract start.
Contracts. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Is there any other?
Oh, Counselor.
Oh, Counselor, sure.
First and foremost, if you guys got on topic there, just to let everybody know, there's gonna be a universal collection program being implemented as well. So every city will be the same
For recycling.
for recycling, just so you know, so
Yeah.
that's coming. So nobody's gonna have to move from Brampton and not realize that we don't take styrofoam. 'Cause
Yes.
Brantford will be taking styrofoam. Brantford will be taking plastic bags again. There's gonna be a lot of changes coming. What I wanna ask, the non-eligibles, will we be accepting their recycling at the landfill if they bring it?
Yes,
So that's product that we can actually.
that is
reclaim.
our own, yes.
Okay,
It does still be
And-
free of charge at the landfill because we can generate some revenue off
okay,
that.
that I was curious with the non-eligibles, I know we have quite a few of them. Now the trucks, Wolf has a unique system right now. They have a camera system on the claw of their trucks as they're collecting their totes. If something's unacceptable, the truck takes a picture of it from the claw and leaves a tag. And then the truck doesn't pick it up and carries it on. Are we looking at moving to totes?
In that, go ahead.
Go ahead, Derek.
Joe, that collection contract, everything is gonna be put into that and reviewed. So
So I
Different
highly recommend that
options.
we go
So
with
the
the
way-
camera or the barcoding if we do that. Because it's gonna cut back on the complaints that come into the city.
So, through the chair to the councillors, that some things we definitely wanted. One is to have a camera, be able to take a photo of what's happening at each and every property. That will give us a better indication of participation rate, diversion rate, and everything. And at least we can go talk to the residents. Like, we haven't seen the green bin for, I can see a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks not setting, but then why we've never seen at all. Have that educational program going and kind of push hard on those, so it will be useful. So the camera piece is something we want to go forward with the technology these days, and we want to definitely move forward in our new contract. Going with the option of the card system, we will, the way usually when we go for tender is that we put a whole bunch of options and ask the contractors to bid a price. And then we bring that to council and ask the council to choose which option, because it's all, at the end of the day, you got to balance between diversion and the money. So even though it says 2030, 2 years before the start date, we have to have the tender awarded, because that how long time it takes to build those, the trucks. So even though we're talking about 2030, we do want to roll out the reducing the bag limit sooner if council approves it. That way we know how much more increase in waste diversion is happening, and then in 27 we'll start preparing the tender document, coming to council on, okay, these are the options we're going to tender. What would you want to change? And then we would go tender and likely award it in 28 for 2030. So even though it looks like a long time,
Yeah, a lot of
it'll
us
start happening.
Are we also gonna request that these trucks be CNG?
We've always requested that,
Yeah.
and the price was so high that it was not chosen last time. We always request a zero emission, and all those are put in part of our contract. We don't make it mandatory because it comes at a cost, and we need to know if council is willing to choose that. So it's always in council's hand. They have all this information, what choices are available, and each choice costs how much, then the decision is made.
Okay, just so people to understand that those trucks take so long to be built, because they're actually hand built. They're not built on the assembly lines.
Just have a couple other questions as well, and then I think we could probably.
Oh, just one thing on the bag limit, like
Oh, sure.
Shelby just mentioned, how we're gonna be presenting it to council, just because we have some councilors here. We're gonna be presenting it, and by us implementing it earlier, it allows us to, like Shelby said, to see the impact it has on the waste, because Councilor Sullivan, and when they bid on these contracts, they're bidding on like base levels. So if we can drive that base level down,
Drive the
that'll
price
give us some driving.
Price is down.
It'll have a huge impact on the price.
Yeah,
We will
because-
put forth to.
And
the
if you
rest
go
of the
with
call.
carts, you can actually just put it as one cart per house, and that solves the problem.
Yes, but we need to, right now, our levels, like the so high, the cost is gonna be
Through the roof.
through the roof.
I've
but-
seen the last RFPs when they came through the last time.
Yeah. So that's why it's one of the reasons why we're gonna, another reason why it's twofold. It'll help drive down the cost. It'll help increase our organics, which will reduce our carbon footprint and soil on those, but that's one of the main
Balancing.
reasons.
The need to drive down the cost is those savings will be used going towards multi-residential ICI, have somebody go and talk to them, handhold them, so they could change their process. That all needs staff time and like somebody's time. So we can use those savings. It's kind of iterative process. You need savings, you need people to go talk to them, cut down the waste and increase the diversion. So kind of going in iteration until we achieve our goal.
Yeah, it's been a good discussion. It just keeps. There's lots of things that come up. One thing I was thinking about the multi-residential is there may be a possibility that as part of the land development process, like you make sure that some of that stuff, like possibly a pilot project at that point, like this is a new development that is going to require some of those waste management considerations early on. So it builds it in from the beginning rather than, having to grandfather properties in later, right? So that might be a solution. One thing.
Sorry, if we could respond to that.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So We already work in every development application. We comment
Okay.
on them to make sure they are maximizing their diversion. But the city also kind of developing a standard too, but we kind of already implement those kind of standards. Most of the developers are cooperative in installing the systems, but then what we need is after people move in, there needs to be somebody forcing them or encouraging them to use those systems.
Thanks for clarifying. I wasn't aware that it was already.
No, totally.
The one thing as well is the bag limit, and the available capacity in the green bin. I think they kind of go hand in hand. So as you reduce the bag limit allowance, encouraging the use of the green bin to offset that, and just making sure that, people realize that there is still space, and a lot of your garbage that you tend to put into the bags could be diverted. I know you know this, but I think just as a development, as a marketing communication exercise, I feel like gradual reduction for the bags, and then encouraging the green bin. I think it makes sense together. So I think, as part of encouraging like council in that direction, if council were to decide on that, I feel like the slow reduction and boosting the green bin, I think if those programs are going to happen, they probably shouldn't be separate. They should, be dovetailed together. So
The green bins are too small, by the way.
We would be happy to give you a second bin if you.
I would love,
Right, Derek?
Yep, no,
I would absolutely love one.
there's no limit. It's the green bins are the same as the blue box. If you can fill up 6, we encourage you to fill up 6.
Basically jumping on the lid of my green bin to clean it each time.
Yeah, we can get your address, we can get one.
And just so you know why they won't the size, is because of the weight that they contain, and it makes it harder to load it into the truck without making a mess. That's why they won't the smaller ones.
I'm not sure why this city still has people manually putting garbage and compost into bins. I haven't lived in anywhere in 15 years that have had manual people doing it, but hey.
It all money,
My,
switching to carts, it costs more. And, we had the money to implement green bin. So that's all part of the reason, things kind of go in cyclical, like, you divert more, you switch to bi-weekly, you take those savings, go to a cart system to automate it than manual. So that's the process. We're trying to have less impact on taxes, and kind of find a way to do these things.
that's great. I'm good with questions if everyone else is. Looks like it. Do you want me to move forward with this if there's nothing further on that? So there's one item for consideration on the agenda. I think we still need a mover and seconder to put it on the floor for the solid waste management master plan. And it's listed that, Councillor, yeah. Do I need to read this part, or are we good?
It's on the floor.
It's on the floor, yeah. In terms of discussion, I think I'd like to ask the councilors, like, in terms of SPAC's role here, they've presented, a lot of information here. And it sounds like there's already an implementation plan. In my mind, I was thinking that along with the, agreeing to the overall direction, I think that was the way the motion was listed. Is there any benefit in terms of identifying things we would like to prioritize for when it goes to council in addition to that, as like not seeing the implementation strategy? We don't have that here, but like, is there things that we can put forward as things we'd like to see elevated or early in the process? Is that I guess I'm asking, is that of use to council in this?
I think it is, because obviously council is going to be referring to what the people of SPAC, the committee, suggests. So an example would be maybe within the comments we put down that in the process of this, we would like to see that this process still strive to hit the 80 or 90% as opposed to the 70. So we're letting them know, yeah, you're doing this, that's fine, but we would like to see it continue to strive as it's moving forward. Just stuff like that. This way council's seeing everything
Mhm.
that SPAC's feeling.
Yeah, I don't want to get something in front of council that just says, we agree with the overall direction. I think there's something, we've heard lots of great ideas here, just to kind of elevate a few of them to say like, can we move forward on those?
Pay as you go.
The pay as you go and bag limit, I think, are a priority.
Right.
Need to have
Is
them.
is it okay if you take a few of these down so we can discuss them, what we're bringing back to council?
Through the chair, so that just requires you to move an amendment.
Sure. Yep.
So all that requires, you need a mover and a seconder, and then I can capture those comments, and then you would vote on it, and then we'll vote on it as amendment. So if
Sure.
move an amendment, you just need a mover and a seconder.
Sure.
So
Yeah, I'd like to move an amendment.
Seconded.
For that. Yeah, just in terms of items that we'd like to see actioned.
Do you need a mover or did you move it?
I think we did have.
It's moving second.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think for me, and we can talk about which ones to actually go forward with, but I think the pay as you throw with the bag tags, I feel like I heard that your public engagement had that did resonate with some individuals.
Some, like I'm not.
Some? Sure.
There was-
Okay.
Yeah, I would. yeah,
Okay.
It's 50-50.
But nobody likes change. 50-50 is actually quite good.
Not bad. Yeah, no, we were shocked that it was 50-50. We assumed it was gonna be
Okay.
much lower than that, so.
And we will explain this to
Sure.
council and public as well. We do surveys or
Yeah.
data collection by looking at area by area in the city and see how many bags they put up.
Yeah.
There's a lot more data we collect, but given the limited time, so the average is 1.6 but anyway, 2 bags.
1.7, yeah.
2 bags is what most of the people put out. There's an odd here and there may put more. So in the sense, like when you reduce the bag limit, say for example to 2, most of the people would be fine, but there is going to be a smaller section of people who may need more.
And I guarantee you those are the people that are not recycling.
And
Just
two,
saying.
2 bags are what fits in one of the trolleys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, I think it's recognizing that there's a green bin available to individuals that SPAC would support lowering the allowable bag limit gradually towards that target that you have that other municipalities are doing, right?
Yeah, Hamilton has 1,
1,
Oxford has 0,
Halton has 1.
Halton 1.
Right. I think that would be what I would suggest there.
15 years ago, when I was in Owen Sound, we made it 1 bag only, and then all other bags had the bag tag. That was 15 years ago.
I think like similar to what Andy was talking about earlier on is that there's potential for community engagement partnerships in terms of city or regional recyclers, or I don't know if the term's right, but look for reuse partnerships in the city. I'd like to see the continued focus on multi-residential and the ICI reductions where it's possible.
If I may,
Yeah, sure.
I would like to see us put a push on the mandatory recycling. Because if you don't make them, then that's not going to. So.
For ICNI or residential?
For the residential so basically if we show up and we're collecting the waste and we notice recycling's in it, we tag it. We don't pick it up. There's unlimited blue bins, so there's no reason why it should end up in our waste.
So in the plan, that's one of the things that you were asking, what's there after 2030?
Okay.
Those mandatory things are in the later part of the implementation, because the idea of getting people get used to change of the way they do things. And then if it's still they're not changing, then the landfill ban or mandatory comes in. But yeah, no.
Okay. Counselor, would it be good to put a time limit on that, like following the new contract or
Yeah.
something like that, like as a longer term move towards that,
Yeah, mandatory recycling implemented on at the start of the new contract.
like as at recognizing that it's a longer term thing, it's not
Yeah.
going to
It
happen.
gives you time to,
Yeah,
work
still
out
5
the
years.
unhappy changes that are gonna happen. Get people used to it before we, because by the time they get used to it, you're only gonna be reflecting a small number of people that are still refusing to recycle.
So when you say, Councillor, recycling, are you also talking about organics together?
If the city wants to do that, but my biggest focus is like I said, the province is now paying to have recycling collected and disposed of. That should not be falling into our volumes and under our weights.
Mhm.
So in order to force that, if we show up and see garbage and there's 15 pizza boxes sitting in there in the garbage can, tag and off you go. Recyclables belong in another box.
I would recommend organics as well. I mean, if you're talking about province, city pays money to our contractor to collect organics. The trucks are going through the road every day
Absolutely.
and once a week in the area. And we're supposed to collect close to 8,000, 9,000 tons. We're collecting 2,000. So that is not a good thing because we're paying a lot of money,
And
but
we're
collect
losing.
less material. So it's very expensive
And that
unless the
loss.
participation rate is there.
Mhm.
So that's one of the reason why we need to cut down the bags, so people are recycling or putting the organics, so I would encourage organics to be included as well.
I think pizza box or compost, not recycling.
They-
Depending on which one's.
They can be recycled as long as they're not greased. So a lot of the pizzerias now are putting that thing in the middle underneath the pizza, so the box doesn't get greased. So that piece that's underneath goes in the compost and the box goes in the recycling.
Through the chair, I apologize. I may have lost the last comment on.
The tonnage,
I may have lost the last comment that we wanted added there.
organic.
Organics.
And for recycling and organic.
Mandatory recycling and organics at the start of the next contract.
Are we gonna put a timeline on when we're gonna limit the bags?
I would like to see that sooner than later.
I would like to see that started next year, if not before.
Derek, so we need like a minimum a year implementation in 2027, just so we need to give time.
Yep.
You gotta
To
educate.
get adjusted and education.
Sorry for the back.
So maybe to put the bag limit implementation 2027.
Yeah, we would educate starting in 2026,
26.
just letting everyone know it's
And then go
coming,
full
it's
stop.
coming, it's coming, and we will. Yes, we have a plan in place for it already, that when we see people that have more than the bag limit out, we'd be leaving notices, which would be strictly educational. It'd be through our contractor, through our staff, and then that way, when 2027 hits, like no
There's
one,
no more
there's
excuse.
no more excuses then.
Like it.
So we have
What
started.
do you have so far? I guess maybe we'll.
Through the chair.
Oh, sure, Andy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm sorry, but I misunderstood what we're trying to do here. I want to go on record for this amendment or for this motion to strenuously endorse that we make tags available. And even if you do it for 1 year as a test project, like it's very important that this is in a time right now when people have financial distress and people have to move out of their homes or whatever it may be. You know, people are spending a lot of money on garbage bins and keeping them on their driveway for multiple months, and then a bylaw officer comes and says, you know, your bin has been here too long. But they'll say, well, if I was able to, you know, to get some tags and just throw out 10 bags instead of 5 1 week or 2 or 3, then I don't have to rent a bin. Like in my case, we've had some financial distress here at home, and I would look forward to having a tag program. And if it can be done as early as 2027, fantastic. Let's do it as a test. But my understanding, what I'm hearing from you is we want to reduce that and not give a mechanism of having tags for people who want to pay much more cheaper to have the city take it than to go and rent a waste bin and park it out on your driveway.
I don't think we said that. I think we said reduce it to 1, and in the report, it said reduce it and give for anything above a limit, then you get a bag tag. So I don't remember ever saying about giving out bag tags.
No, that wasn't part of it. That was
No.
just making We were just talking about recycling organics being mandatory. Yeah.
All right, so if we could put this on the amendment or motion that I would like to see a tag program initiated. I don't really think we should reduce the amount of bags in order to accommodate that, but you know, I'll allow the discussion to go further at a later date where we find a reasonable amount that can go out on the curb and then augmented with tags.
2-bag limit with tags available.
Well, right now you have 5 with no tags. So the question here is that if I'm trying to clean up my house and whatever it is,
2 bags and then tags. 2 bags and then tags.
I don't think our job is to identify how many bags. I think the point is that, you know, whatever staff determines is like a higher than the normal or you know, an excessive number, that there's a cost associated with that, right? Because right now there really isn't that. So I think that's
You can make a recommendation as 2 bags and above, but then at the end of the day, the staff will give the information to our council and our council will make a decision what is appropriate.
I think we worded it right, that we reduce the bags by January 27th. Staff is obviously gonna do a report to figure out what that is. You've already mentioned the number as 1.7, so I think everybody at this table can be pretty confident it's gonna come in at 2, so. And then just making sure that tags are available as well. But it'll be staff that brings the report through, so.
for sure. I just was wondering if you could read back what you have so far, and then we can.
Through the chair,
Sure.
I would like to just catch up a bit here. When it comes to the 2-bag limit, we're not including that. I just want to make sure on the comments.
Well, staff's gonna do the report, so we're just requesting that the bag limit be reduced for January 27 with the option of bag tags in excess of whatever that report seems fair.
Through the chair, I think what might be best here is I'm going to put them on screen so you can see them.
Oh yes.
And I'll also put this option here because I think this is the way we're moving. Is perhaps right now we have 5 clauses, A through E. Depending on the committee, I'd recommend we'll vote on A through D, and then vote on E separately. You read them, and I'll leave that up to the chair and committee on what you would think is best. Bear with me. Sorry, technical difficulties. That PowerPoint is stuck open.
You won't close on it.
No, so it's just all it wants to do is. Okay, there we go.
Technology, that's fine. Just won't.
Heller.
Sit and laugh. But
Spain,
I
is
think
it?
it's time.
There we go. White on black.
Being large.
Through the chair, I'll also say that I can clean these up in the post minutes as well. But if I've captured the gist or the at least the spirit of what the committee is looking for.
For D, I think the other ones look good. D, I'm a little confused about the language, but push on mandatory recycling and organic. Start of the new contract. I don't know if push is the right word. I think it's we're trying to say like request or promote or request,
Promote probably friendlier.
More politically correct.
Why start now?
can we say like mandatory sounds really strict, but like can we say like promote transition towards mandatory recycling? Like just recognizing that it's
Well, the
a
reason why I said-
process.
Reason why I said
2030.
mandatory is because it's starting that term.
Gotta be.
It's starting that contract. So it's not now, this is 2030 when this becomes
30.
mandatory.
Okay,
It's 5 years from now, 5 years.
at the start of the new contract, which we know is
2030.
Yeah.
2030 onwards. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think that cleaned it up a bit and the strongly endorsed Mickey Bag.
Oh, the last one is 2027, but.
Yeah, 2027. For E,
Until
I'd
2020.
like to make a comment on B.
In 2020.
Andy, you were saying something?
I'd like to make a comment on B.
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 Yes.
So- Sorry, let me know when I can speak.
Yep. Yes, please.
So I'd like to put an immediate date, like let's say within this year, with a decision in 2027 for something, because I would like us to part of the sustainability portion of our title, and is this expanding and looking at reuse partnerships. Now, the reuse partnerships can open up a whole wide variety of opportunities for us without closing off a lot of things. And if it's at the curbside or if it's at the landfill, it's an opportunity. So can we find some way to put in there a start date, like let's say this year, to have some sort of decision for a test in 27, but for us to actually put together like a subcommittee or within this committee to talk to people who are, the reuse partnerships, to see what can we beef up and what we can take that's going to give us more opportunities and more cash in the city coffers. Because one of the things that I realized, like we have a family member here that we've been taking care of at home care, and their nurse comes and will take the plastic water bottle, the sodium chloride bottle, it's a polypropylene bottle, and throw it into the recycling. Now, sometimes the recycling doesn't get picked up because the person sees this bottle, but if we said, look, there's no difference between this bottle and a juice bottle or a pop bottle, so like we'd have to do this strategically. But the way I see it, because our population is aging, because a lot of them are getting home care with home care nursing and whatever it is, a lot of stuff is going in the garbage that shouldn't go in the garbage. Like I've seen blood containers and sharps and whatever it is go in places like that. But if we can mandate it soon enough and talk to somebody and say, okay, look, let's try to find a way to beef up the recycling bin in plastic and in cardboard and see what you'll take more of, then let's do it. Like, one of the things I know is there's an industry right now for styrofoam. Styrofoam is recyclable. There are companies in Toronto and Montreal who would pay for styrofoam. Is there a way that we can put styrofoam towards recycling rather than put it in a black garbage bag?
That's part of the provinces. That's part of the province in January 1st of this
We are
year.
collecting from January 1st, 2026. That's a new chain producer CMO has brought up.
Plastic film.
So they are
Makes sense.
collecting from January 1st, 2026 through the chair.
I think everything he was saying is taken care of come January this year, is it not?
Derek, all the plastics are collected though, right? Like pretty much
Pretty much now.
all the plastics are being collected now, and styrofoam, coffee cups, they're all going to be collected, and the Themo website explains all that.
So maybe B, because I was hearing some diversion things that Andy was saying. I wonder if B can be like, because there's a number of initiatives in here that are in the same vein as reuse and diversion, but maybe we can say we're looking for those to happen, I guess, for lack of a better word, but you know, promoting those aspects of the plan. And I'm sure the plan itself, like not having it in front, but it maybe talks about some ideas of what those partnerships might be. So maybe we need to wait to see what that looks like, but that we can recognize that there's a lot here in diversion and reuse, and that those should be.
But if somebody could, through the chair, if somebody could clarify for me, because this seems like a conflicting comment. We're saying that the province takes responsibility on January 1st. So then how do we look for reusable partnerships if anything that can be reused is going to be recycled by the province, therefore? So it's taking it out of our hands.
It's the non-eligibles, Andy. There's
Right.
there's 290 places in the city that the province will not be collecting their recycling materials because they're considered a non-eligible. Those people will either find a third-party vendor or they'll bring their materials to the landfill.
All right, and then at that point, we would need to have some
Partnership.
idea of some reusable partners
Yes.
who we can then say, have at it, but pay us the money for that stuff that's coming in.
Yes.
And that we should begin those conversations sooner rather than later.
Which is why B is in there, that we're recommending to the city.
Right. So then the question would be, what mechanism are we looking at? Is it going to come back to SPAC to be part of our mandate? Is it going to be a task force? Is it going to, what is it going to be so we can prepare and get people around the table, to start working on this? Because you don't want to be behind the 8 ball and have 6 to 8 months worth of garbage piling up that nobody wants, but we could be making money from.
So through the chair, one of the things I'll clarify, I'm sure Derek can jump in. So a lot of the plastics and recycled materials that we collect at the landfill, if we could call it as a depot, at the landfill, that material is right now being sold and the city is making money to offset our expenses. What we are talking about is that if we could do more of the material, like the reuse depot we've talked about, like where we could collect more material, where people partner with some businesses that they could use more of those material. So that's the partnership we're talking about. And we have to keep in mind, it's a very small quantity, relatively, I'm saying, compared to the whole city. What's coming to the landfill is a small in quantity. So we're talking about those materials, how we make partnership, and like the businesses could take that material and reuse it or give us revenue.
So it sounds like there's plans for it.
Yeah,
There's
the plastics, cardboards, metals, we already do sell them.
So I think B does capture that and gives the city an opportunity to look into those more. The plan has some ideas of what those might be. So I think B is SPAC's way of saying there's lots of diversion and reuse programs in here, and those should be promoted. So I think that the only word I would add for B would be diversion and reuse. So just in keeping with some of these ideas here. So like diversion and reuse for B. That would be the only change that I suggest. Yeah. I don't have any other questions about that list. Does anyone else have anything else? Okay. So if that's our chance to do a vote, I would suggest that we do that. I'm just looking to the clerk to make sure we're doing the right process.
Yes, through the chair, I just want to confirm that
Yep.
you want to vote on all of the clauses as a package.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it would be, I think the language, I don't have the language of the, I remember seeing it here. So this is C then, the additional item. So it's that the report titled solid waste management be received. That's A. That B is SPAC's Sustainability Policy Advisory Committee endorsed the principle of the solid waste management plan as prepared by the city's environmental services And then C then is our list of recommendations or suggestions to council that we just discussed. So I think that's what we'd be voting on.
Through the chair, yes, they all become individual clauses
Okay.
that
Sure.
an appendice to the report, essentially, is what will go.
Yeah.
But yes, all you need to do is call the vote.
Yes, okay, all those in favor? Okay. And I don't see any opposed or. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, carried. Consent items.
Through the chair, if
sure.
I may.
I gotta vote as amended.
Yeah, we voted on the
Oh.
amendment. Now we'll vote on it as amended.
Oh, as amended, sure, thank you. Yes, all those in favor as amended. That's great, carried. Consent items, we have one item in the agenda. Can I get a mover and seconder to place the consent items on the floor? And that looks like it's minutes.
Through the chair, if you can call it the mover and seconder.
Oh, the mover is Councillor Sullivan, and the seconder is, what's it? Derek. Okay. So that's for the minutes being approved. And moving on to resolutions, or do we still need to vote on the minutes? Okay, thanks. So any discussions on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of carrying the minutes? Councillor Sullivan and Councillor Samuels. Thank you. And I guess, do we need to vote on it still as well, or no? We're good?
Through the chair.
I'm getting confused here.
So
Yeah,
when we came to the consent items,
Yeah.
so what we do is,
Yeah.
same as we did for items of consideration, we get a mover and a seconder to put it on the floor.
Yeah.
Once an item's on the floor, then we can vote on it. So that's what we did with the solid waste management plan. And so when we got to minutes, what we do is, in order to vote on it, we got a mover and a seconder, we put it on the floor, then we called the vote.
Okay.
And then we're moved past that. Now you're at
resolutions. Okay, gotcha. No, there's no resolutions. Good news is there's no notices of motion. And therefore the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Okay, the next meeting it has down here is February 12th, 2026. Thank you all.